Look at all these Jeeps. And they have addendums on them, meaning they're still asking. I went and looked yesterday. They were like $2,000, $3,000 worth of like garbage they stuck on these things. This is insane. And look at all of them. Watch. More Jeeps. More Jeeps. Anybody want to deal in a Jeep? Look at, they still have addendums on them, which is amazing. Like, how could you add anything when you have this many of these things not moving? You still think you can get extra crap out of people. They wanted $195 for wheel locks. I'm telling you, I think the biggest scam in the car industry right now is the wheel locks. Like, how the hell do you get $200 for something that's like $39 on Amazon that are Mopar wheel locks? Like, you're killing me. It's got to be gold plated or something. It's a ton of Jeeps. Ton of Jeeps, folks. Now this dealer did not get, there's another Jeep, did not get like almost any allocations for Hellcats or Scat Packs, so that's why we don't see any here. And I talked to them back when they were doling out the allocations, and they got kind of hosed. So we got very little. Like, they had a couple GTs and stuff on the lot, but that was it. So welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to talk about this UAW strike that's supposed to happen. And by the time this video goes up, I mean, it'll probably be like tomorrow, or it'll be tomorrow already, or it'll be today, and it'll be happening tomorrow, or at the very least, it'll be, we may know the answer by now, what's going to happen with that. So I thought I'd shoot this video to tell you all what I think is going to happen with prices, because there's so much speculation out there on this strike and how it's going to affect pricing. And I think the knee-jerk reaction we all go to is, oh my god, prices are going to go to the moon, and they're going to add markups again, and they're going to go crazy on the prices, and we're not going to be able to get our cars anymore, so we better hurry up and pay a markup right now because it's only going to get worse, blah blah blah. And I think I have a sound thought process on this that I'll share with you all. Let me pull over somewhere and shoot this video safely. All right, so now let's talk about the UAW strike, the impending, looming UAW strike. I don't know if you've watched the videos from the UAW president. This guy is playing hardball in a huge way. But
all right, well, there's a lot of activity in the talks. All three companies have given their proposals, and Sean Fain basically said that you can't confuse activity with movement. In his estimation, nothing's been accomplished by the negotiations so far. Fain went over all of the original UAW proposals, which haven't changed. Fain says all of the pay situations are deeply inadequate, and reiterated his point that 11:59 on Thursday is going to be a strike unless something changes dramatically. Made no bones about his toughest language, saying that all three could be struck if need be. And here's how he responded to some of the criticism he's received because of the profanity he's used and the demands he continues to press.
I've heard the nonsense from some Big Three executives and some of their friends in the media about my foul mouth or theatrics or this or that. I want you all to know something. I don't do these updates because I just want to blow off some steam about insulting proposals. I do these updates because our strength as a union is in our membership. Our strength as working people is in our unity. You all deserve to know what they're saying about you.
So is Stellantis, Ford, GM. They are playing incredible hardball. They are so far apart on making a deal that I think there's no way they dodge, no pun intended, a strike in the next couple of days. I think that's bound to happen. I mean, I could be completely wrong. You'll know probably by the time you see this video, or at the very least, we're just a couple days away, if not a day away, and we'll know. But considering the last few volleys that they've had, it seems like there's just no possible way that they're going to get to a resolution, meaning we're probably going to have a strike. But let's talk about what happens if there's a strike, because we already know what happens if there isn't a strike. Cars will keep getting built, cars will keep getting delivered to dealerships, and that will not help the dealerships in getting their ridiculously high prices. and high markups and ridiculous add-ons and bumped in interest rates and all the stupid stuff they've been doing to us. So it'll be status quo, and we'll continue to fight this fight against them due to growing inventory. With that said, let's talk about if the strike happens, what I think is going to happen. And mind you, I could be completely wrong, and this video may not age well, but I am absolutely convinced that there is no way that prices on these cars will go to the moon simply because of the strike. Now, yes, supply issues definitely fall under the supply and demand theory, which means if there's a lower supply and a huge demand, that there's no way that prices can't go up. So let's leave that as an option that could happen. The counterbalancing facts that we cannot get around, and I wrote them down here, are things that I don't think there's anything that's going to be able to change those, and they're still going to weigh extremely heavily on all the consumers and all the potential buyers out there of these Dodge cars. So let's talk about the first thing. If the UAW goes on strike, one thing that does not change is that interest rates are ridiculously high, and potentially going higher based on the recent inflation data. There's a chance that very soon that rates go up again. They're definitely not going down. So best case scenario, rates stay the same, meaning that it's going to get even harder to afford these wildly expensive cars, meaning the Hellcats and even the Scat Packs that are now approaching, mid 60 range, which is pretty crazy if you get them well appointed with a lot of options. So that means that there's no possible way, unless you put a lot of money down or pay cash for the car, that you're not going to be staring down the barrel of well over $1,000 car payment on Scat Packs alone. And for that reason, also the bank tightening, I don't see suddenly rates going up, and because there's fewer cars being built and because of this UAW strike, that suddenly people are going to be like, all right, you know what? Since there's fewer of these things, I'll go ahead and pay $1,300 a month for a Scat Pack and $1,900 a month for a Hellcat. Or, all right, I'll just go ahead and pay $30,000 over for a Hellcat, or $50,000 over for a red-eye jailbreak. Since the strike started, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pay all that money because I don't want to lose out on these cars. I think the fact is that smart people with their money have realized these cars aren't going up in value. They're the same cars that have been built for the last, 2015. These things have been out like this. They don't look that much different, and they're not that much different. Now, certainly there's different variations and slight increases in horsepower and other things, but the reality of it is there's so many hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these cars out there still on the used market that there's absolutely no way that somebody with a fully developed brain would think that paying $50,000 over for a red eye makes any possible sense. Yes, there will be the isolated rich dummy or guy that emptied out his 401k or did some because they had to have it so bad and they don't watch the channel and they don't pay attention, and they're going to just get killed. Because the other issue, I believe, is that based on the 11 weeks or so of strike pay of $500 a week, not including medical benefit costs, according to most articles I'm reading out there, is that if this strike lasts longer than 11 weeks, these UAW workers are going to have to go with no money, and that's pretty crazy. And while this UAW president is, and I'm not picking sides here, but while this UAW president is absolutely standing firm, throwing offers in the trash, and coming off extremely angry and using foul language and just blustering in a big way, and while he may have a great point about these folks deserving to be paid more, unfortunately, and from what I understand, these people are not going to be doing well not getting paid. So I gotta think, as time progresses between the manufacturers and the UAW, they're gonna soften. So this could get very hairy. But I'm thinking the strike shouldn't last as long as everybody. They keep saying a prolonged strike. I can't imagine that happening, meaning if this thing ends in 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, even 11 weeks, there's still time for everybody to go back to work and start pumping lots of cars out again. So it's a temporary issue with supply, not a long-term issue with supply, which we experienced during COVID. This is a little bit different. Now, if it does go on a long time, yeah, that could be a problem. But these are luxury items. These cars are fun luxury items, which leads me to gas prices are suddenly not going to drop because there's a UAW strike. They continue to go up. Now, if you're outside of California, you're complaining because your gas prices are maybe $3.50, maybe even approaching $4. I don't know. But in California, we're approaching $6. We're likely to get to $6 a gallon, and these cars take the higher octane gas and the premium gas, meaning whatever the highest price is, that's what we're putting in this thing. And it starts to make these no longer good for daily driving, good for the average commuter, where at, let's say, 20% less in gas prices, let's say $1 less, suddenly, okay, I can drive this thing around every day. And I'm personally experiencing it, having driven 70 miles, 60, 70 miles from home to come out here for work this week. And I'm going to fill up probably 3 times before I head home, and that's over $100 each time. Now, people out there have to think that through. So if I get a Hellcat, it's going to be even worse. Go watch Knockout 360's new video on why you can't daily drive a Hellcat. Those of you who have attempted to do it, I've done it with a red eye, and gas prices were way less. I think we were in the 3s back then, so I could almost get away with it. But now, when you're looking at these massive gas prices that aren't going to change, the thought of buying one of these things as your primary vehicle is utterly ridiculous. It's going to cost you so much if you do any driving whatsoever. So gas prices aren't going to change. So we've got interest rates are going to get worse. Gas prices are still probably going to get worse. And then we've got the banks tightening up their lending requirements, and they're not looking to pay or be part of you paying markups, which means you got to come up with that money in cash. They're not looking to take risks with more marginal buyers with not the greatest credit, or their lending ratios, their debt-to-income ratios aren't the greatest, so it's harder to get these loans. Suddenly, it's not going to become easier to get these loans, so we still have that problem. Then we have the used car market that is growing, especially with these cars, every single day, and the more you read about this, the more we learn that repos are coming. People have overpaid for these things for 3 years or more now, and many times they paid markups. They financed them in because banks were willing to do them, and they're paying $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 a month on Hellcats and $1,200, $1,300 a month on Scat Packs, which is utterly insane because they did these markups, and now they're repoing these cars, and they're showing up more and more. Also, I saw a post by this guy I'll put up on the screen that the average price of these cars are going down. Now, it's not MSRP price. MSRP prices continue to go up, but it's when you see the prices going down on this report that I'm going to put up on the screen for these Chargers and Challengers, it's the markups that are going away, that are being reduced, and it's showing the sales price of these cars are dropping. So that has been happening, but what isn't happening is the MSRP. So another point I made is these cars, MSRPs, aren't suddenly going to go down. Dodge isn't going to pull a Tesla and say, all right, we're going to go ahead and drop prices on these things, 10% or $5,000, or here's power dollars of remember the $7,000, $8,000 on Hellcats and $5,000 on Scat Packs, and they're not suddenly going to bring back power dollars because there will be a slight supply shortage due to the strike, meaning that we're still going to be paying top dollar on MSRP. So with that said, if you got a Scat Pack coming at MSRP, that MSRP is higher than it was a year ago and in the prior year's car. So those aren't going to change. Dodge is not going to drop those prices. Cars getting delivered later this year or cars getting delivered next year at the tail end of the production aren't going to be less money. They're going to be the same, higher priced, even at MSRP. So even taking out the markup, these cars are not going to suddenly drop in price from MSRP, meaning they're not going to be easier to buy. So now you're still paying top dollar for the cars, paying huge interest rates, you're paying massive gas prices, repos are coming like crazy, so you're going to start seeing a lot more 2022s, and even start seeing, which we're already seeing, 2023s coming back as used cars, which will fill back that inventory. And those cars are already built, have nothing to do with the UAW. These are more cars coming to the lot. Also, as this economy continues to struggle and try to find its direction, find its bottom, find out what it's going to do, there's all that uncertainty that still exists that slows all of us down from going out and taking higher risks with super expensive cars just because we gotta have it before it's gone. So of course, dealers will try to capitalize on this, whether or not they have inventory, whether or not there is a shortage of cars that happens as a result of this. They're going to tell all of you that because of the UAW strike, you have to now pay more for that car. So this is where you all need to be strong in your head and stand firm that you're not going to do that and put yourself in that position to get buried, because things will right themselves and then you'll be sitting in a car that you overpaid for. So just expect that every dealership out there is going to jump. You're going to call them how much you want. Well, we want 50 over because there's UAW strike. They're not making these anymore, and a lot of people aren't going to get their cars. And you're going to go, oh my God, I got to buy this car. Don't fall for that. Buy a used one that comes back repoed with 2,000 miles on it or something. But don't put yourself in that financial jeopardy. So with that, everybody, hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope this was informative. Of course, a lot of opinions mixed with some facts and some information. But I think for all those reasons, as much as we can all think prices are going to go to the moon because they can't deliver as many cars, there's too many counterweighing factors that we are going to have to continue to deal with. They're going to make this just way too hard for them to be able to gouge us continuously like they've been. So like, subscribe, comment, share this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.